Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Pillar to Post. I'm your host as always. Now, some people know me as Pete Wall. Here on YouTube, a lot know me as the Angry Viking. Now, it's been a long time since I've done these review shows. Hell, it's been a long time since I sat and watched some wrestling. But this is how I started my YouTube creator content here. And I have sorely missed it, folks. I have been waiting to come back for a long time. But we all know life is a struggle. And such is the way of wrestling as a whole. Now, I've found myself lacking interest in the wrestling world as a whole. And I'm not going to fault WWE here. I'm not going to fault AEW. This was life kicking the crap out of me. But as always, I find a way to pick myself up. And you've seen that a lot in this show here, a dedication to Brody Lee, the Exalted One. A wrestler sorely missed in the wrestling world, not just by his peers, but his fans as well. And I think it was a pretty good feel night. It was a little bit scattered at times, but as a whole, it was a very beautiful tribute to the Exalted One, Brody Lee. Now, we rolled into Rochester, the home of Brody Lee. And it was also pointed out by Jim Ross, said it was also the home of the great Gorilla Monsoon. So, two great legends being spoken about here this night. Mainly, though, it was Brody Lee on everyone's mind. You've seen the signs all over the arena. Fans holding up these little black and white Brody Lee signs as a tribute to a very great and underutilized, until AEW, competitor. Now, the headline match, the main event, Sammy Guevara challenging Miro for the TNT Championship title. But we'll get to that later on. The biggest thing about this show was the dissension within the order, and I think they played it very well. I think it was played out, and we will get into their match later on. It was a lot of bodies in that match, but it was to tell the story of their dissension and bring you a feel-good moment. Now, there's been a lot of storytelling up to this point with Anna Jay returning and trying to get these this group, this faction, to start working well together. And we'll go on to more about that later on. But the match, a huge match, would feature Orange Cassidy, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Alan Angels, 10, and Colt Cabana of the Dark Order. They'd be taking on Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, Isaiah Cassidy, and Helico, Jack Evans, Butcher, Blade, and Jora Joel. Don't know if I pronounced that name correctly, but if I offended anyone, that's, we're just going to call it there. It would be also Anna Jay and Tay Conti, Tay J as they're called, or Ty Conti, Ty J, versus Bunny and Penelope Ford. And since I've been away from wrestling for a bit, I've actually gone back and watched a lot of what I've missed, so that way I was back in the loop, try and get myself having that feel for wrestling again. And it did its justice. I watched the last pay-per-view they held. I believe it was All Out or All In. I can't remember, one of the two. What a great pay-per-view it was. Jungle Boy would take on Adam Cole of the Super Click. And, as I stated, Sammy Guevara and Miro in the main event. Now, we started off, and I was a little bit surprised about this, but AEW's been doing this a lot, as I've noticed by watching all the prior episodes I've missed. Giving you a big match right at the beginning of the show, and I think it's smart. It's shades of what WCW used to do before they started dipping down and just giving us crap, and before they were bought out. Now, CM Punk joined Excalibur, Jim Ross, and Tony Schiavone at the announce table, which is good to hear. I don't need to see CM Punk in a match every night or every week. I don't. There's a time and place to utilize a guy like Punk. He's been a bit out of the business for a while now. And seeing him interact in different levels with the fans as well as with the commentary table and the men in the ring, and the things he says during the match, it allows people to be offended. I'm talking about the grapplers here in Adam Cole and Jungle Boy. You hear him take slight jabs at Adam Cole throughout the match, and it allows maybe a potential rivalry, a feud to break out there because of it. One of the wrestlers taking offense to the words he's using when describing their match and what they are capable of doing, but lacking in their execution of that. Now, Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, had a good start to the match, started off strong, but later on, it was all Adam Cole for a very long time. And schooling Jack Perry, and Jack Perry giving up a lot of experience when it comes to facing a man like Adam Cole. And Adam Cole really showed that tonight or last night by seizing control, and he worked over Jungle Boy in a very, very stiff manner. You know, working the neck really well, and I liked it. Now, overhead suplexes, German suplexes. Both men utilized them very well. I enjoyed it. Was a great match. Jungle Boy delivering a Hurricane Rana over the top rope, taking Adam Cole off the apron to the arena floor. Executed with precision, but the landing, you could see damage done and taken by Jungle Boy, clutching his knee, his leg, and it slowed him down a little bit. We seen shortly after that Adam Cole delivering a super kick as Jungle Boy was rolling back in the ring, hit the Panama Sunrise. Surprisingly, though, Jungle Boy kicking out at 2. Cole tried for the boom, but Jungle Boy ducked and applied the snapmare. And they told a great story here. Experience always winning out, but the underdog find his way throughout the matchup and making it a great match. And it was a great match. These two really knew how to up the level a little bit, get the fans off their seats, and get them interacted within the show. I enjoyed it. But in the end, a little bit of a confusion there as Adam Cole was directed into the ropes and the referee got in the way. As Jungle Boy went to go for the waistlock, Cole delivered the low blow, executed the boom, hit the finisher, and 1, 2, 3 pinfall. Now, like I said, great match. Had a lot of fun watching this match. I love Jungle Boy, and I've always enjoyed watching Adam Cole, and it's really, really shown that Jungle Boy has the potential of carrying a lot of weight on his shoulders as he moves up the ladder in his career. Now, this served to probably drop him down a little bit, but it shows that he's got a far way to go, but the potential is there within the kid. And to see that kind of talent in a young kid like Jack Perry, it is good to see in the wrestling world, and it's good to see that AEW is so strongly supporting him and endorsing him and pushing him as they have. And we'll see great things from him eventually. Not quite yet. Now I could see him and perhaps Sammy Guevara getting into a good feud. But, AEW World Champion status not in his cards as of yet. As I stated, great match. I enjoyed it. It was a great way to open up the show, a great way to make sure that the wrestlers that followed him were going to have to up their game a little bit. Following this match, we've seen Bryan Danielson come out after the Elite joined Adam Cole for his little victory bit in the ring following his match with Jungle Boy. Nice little post-match promo. It was, it was the Elite. You seen, or you would have heard CM Punk making a lot of comments from the commentary table, and and this is what I was talking about earlier. It opens up doors for CM Punk, who's sitting on the sidelines doing commentary one night, to maybe irk one of his fellow wrestlers inside that ring, because clearly they'll use that footage and come after him. Hey, you said this about me while I was in the ring. What the hell you think you're doing? You ain't nothing. And Adam Cole would be a likely guy to do that. I would love to see Adam Cole taking on CM Punk. It would be in an AEW environment, a dream match scenario for CM Punk to be in, as well as Kenny Omega. But let's move on. Adam Cole, always going to remind the fans that he's undefeated here in AEW, even though he just recently debuted. AEW World Champion Kenny Omega discussed his match with Daniel Bryanson, the American Dragon, however, as he is now referred to in AEW, going by his indie name, which I like a lot better. Interrupted the promo and stated, despite both his and the fans' desire for a rematch with Omega, it appears as though the world champion doesn't have the balls to go through with it. I liked it because following that comment, you heard the chants raining down on Kenny Omega. Kenny no balls, repeatedly throughout their little bit here. And it seemed as if Omega was trying to goad Bryan Danielson into a match that night. But Bryan Danielson already challenged one of the members of the Elite to face him at Rampage. Now, Omega thought this being a chicken shit move on Danielson's part, and once had goaded Bryan Danielson into an actual fight that night. Bryan Danielson called out Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, Frankie Kazarian, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt to back him up as he drove the heels up the ramp. And yes, I thought a bit confusing why the Elite would run. Like I said, it was a little bit scattered at times. It didn't make much sense. Clearly outnumbered were Bryan Danielson and Luchasaurus, Christian Cage, and Frankie Kazarian, and the others that followed. But still, retreating were the Elite. To me, it makes them look a bit weak. They're heels. They should be very open to brawling it out and having the numbers advantage. You'd think that they'd be the ones to stand their grounds and just overpower with numbers on Bryan Danielson and his crew. Thought it was an interesting moment. It served to continue to build this feud between Bryan Danielson and the Elite, Kenny Omega specifically, but it allows Bryan Danielson to face guys like he will next week. That was announced later on, but the fans always behind Bryan Danielson, always and forever. And you heard the yes chants and everything. Great time. But it didn't really, there was nothing extraordinary about the promo. There was nothing extraordinary about the challenge issued by Bryan Danielson. But the fans are hungry for more. And as long as they're keeping the fans hungry, it was a step in the right direction. And it will need to evolve, though, to ensure it stays that way. But it served its purpose. Wasn't spectacular by any means. But as I stated, the show was a little bit scattered, a little bit, I don't know. This promo, like I said, it didn't really prove to do anything worthy for the show, but it keeps the fans engaged with Bryan Danielson, and Kenny Omega. We move on. Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson versus Dante Martin and Matt Seidel. I've seen Dante Martin in a few tag team matches now, watching all the replays on the shows and stuff. This was the first time I've seen him with Matt Seidel. I love Matt Seidel. Great competitor, unorthodox, all over the place, a high flyer through and through. Dante Martin goes far above what Matt Seidel has ever shown in the ring. This kid is unique in so many ways. And I've heard a lot of the reviews going around about Cody Rhodes, the fans, not really on his side as of late. They've been booing him on a constant basis. Now, I understand it's been teased in the past a lot that he was going to go heel. I've also read reports where he stated that he would not go heel in any way. He'd be a babyface for the rest of his career. But wrestlers have a way of saying things on social media and in interviews and doing the complete opposite once you're watching the show, due to the fact that it is so hard to shock and surprise the fans in attendance and those watching at home. And last night was no different. Boos engulfed the arena as Cody Rhodes made his way down a ringside. Now, he was accompanied by his wife, Brandy, Coach Arn Anderson, and his partner, Big Shotty Lee Johnson. I like Shotty Lee Johnson. Very adept kid, and this match really showcased that he does have the ability to carry his own star. Now, Martin and Seidel controlled the match during the break. We've seen that clearly. And it appeared that Cody struggled a lot in this match. Lee struggled at the beginning, he got worked over pretty good. He was able to tag Rhodes, and which sparked a comeback, but greeted by a chorus of boos as he was making his comeback. I think it kind of confused Cody. At least he played it off well that he was confused. But in the end, it seemed like Cody was struggling more than he was doing good in that match, and in the end, Big Shotty Lee grabbing his trunks, pulling him over to the corner, tagging himself in, and picking up the win for Cody Rhodes and himself, the Nightmare Family. But after the match, and we've seen some great high-flying moves in this match. I don't want to take away from that. Watching Dante Martin is spectacular in itself. But after the match, Cody Rhodes felt the need to call out Malachi Black. The negative reaction from the fans on him, I think he was struggling to find his place and figuring if he had another shot at Malachi, it might bring the fans back around and see him as who he really is. And I take nothing away from Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is a great wrestler in that ring. He knows how to tell a story. He knows how to wrestle. He doesn't need to do a bunch of stupid shit in that ring in order to get the fans over. But I think at this point, staying a babyface is the wrong direction for him. And that showed right here as Arn Anderson took the microphone away from him, basically told him, shut up. He basically stated, he is Arn Anderson, and all that it implies, and I'll be damned if I coach a loser. After making a very strange comment, or using a very strong phrase where he used a scenario where if Cody Rhodes were to be carjacked, he'd beg for his life and allow the carjacker to just take the car as long as he let him live. Whereas Arn Anderson would just pull a Glock, point it at the guy's face, blow his fucking brains out. I thought that a bit odd, but it really also showed Arn Anderson as the man that we all know and we all enjoyed to see wrestle back in the day. The guy was hard, straight through, stiff, and a great tactician in that ring. And him basically stating that he would not coach a loser tapped Johnson on the shoulder and said, let's go, get the fuck out of here. We're not dealing with Cody Rhodes anymore. So, Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson defeat Dante Martin and Matt Seidel, but at a big cost. Now, the match, I've seen better. I have. But it was all about the story. And the continued story since Cody Rhodes came back from his absence. And we all know he's been doing some TV time, doing other side projects. And, it was a nice way to tell the story that he's kind of in a slump. He's kind of off his plan. And definitely off the plan set forth by Arn Anderson. I feel it is definitely time for Cody Rhodes to go heel. I would love to see a heel Cody Rhodes in AEW and what he could do with it. Would he go to the Elite, or would he go to find a different angle for it? The fans, they want it. The fans, I think, need it at this point from Cody. He needs to reinvigorate his career in AEW, or AEW is going to pass him by. And you got to think about AEW was created around the Elite and Cody Rhodes, along with, Tony Khan. But you definitely seen Dante Martin's star shine. Lee Johnson's star shine a little bit brighter here. The promo afterwards, a little bit hard, a little bit rough. I think a lot of fans are going to take offense to the use of the words that Arn Anderson used. But you know what? If you're always playing it safe, you're never going to break those boundaries. You're never going to get the fans to accept you as, hey, I'm the man that's teaching you. I'm the man training you. I'm the man looking to get you back to the top where you need to be. And you're fucking up. So smarten up. And this was a wake-up call for Cody. Now, I don't know if there is irreparable damage between him and Arn Anderson. But that story is going to follow, and I like that. So Cody Rhodes definitely needs to evolve. And hopefully we see that coming. Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston, along with Darby Allin with Sting in their corner, taking on Bear Country and Anthony Green. Now, I thought this odd because I'm pretty sure I've seen Anthony Green about little bits here and there, but it was an odd pairing with Bear Country. Two big gruff looking dudes. And then you've got Anthony Green, and he looked like the redheaded stepchild of the group. It just did not fit. Now, Jon Moxley, Darby Allin, and Eddie Kingston, they battled out with Bear Country. And the baby faces withstood an early surge from the heels. I guess Bear Country's heels now. But Moxley would be the one to pin Green. And we got all the guys, the faces. Darby Allin, we've seen him do the coffin drop. We've seen Eddie Kingston and Moxley hit their finisher. It was a quick match. It wasn't the best match. I think they are underutilizing Jon Moxley at this point. What happened to the paradigm shift? What happened to this man being the guy? It looks like he's been relegated doing just odd jobs for AEW all of a sudden. And I loved the attitude. I still love his attitude when he comes down in the ring with Eddie Kingston. But what did this match really serve as a purpose? A very limited time for Darby Allin in that ring. Yes, he hit his high spot. But, in the end, wasn't anything really big about it. Now, after the match, Sting was called in, hit the Scorpion Death Drop on Green as Kingston held up a Brody Lee sign. Yes. Like I said, it was supposed to be a feel-good moment. And for the most part, it was. But some matches I didn't think made sense. This one was one of them. It just didn't make sense to me. It was quick. It was to the point. But did it serve a purpose here? I just don't think so. you know, it's my opinion, my thoughts on the show. Not that everyone is going to agree with me, but I mean they've got to start doing something more with Jon Moxley here. He was a AEW world champion, and since losing the title, it's like, well, I'm just going to step back here and just hang about and do a couple of odd, you know, death matches here and there, do a few tag teams, but nothing of substance. And I wish I would have seen more from Moxley. I would rather see him in a singles environment instead of continuously seeing him in tag team action. And that's for the most part what I've seen watching all the replays of AEW Dynamite. But, you know, such is the case of the wrestling world. There is a lot to go around in a show. You've got 2 hours to fill. And I don't expect AEW to add another hour onto their show. I don't want them to be like WWE. 2 hours is plenty. You can fit a lot in 2 hours. And AEW does a good job of doing that. But did this really work for this show? Up next was the Dark Order and Orange Cassidy taking on the Hardy Family Office. I'm going to say this now. I'm going to get off my chest. I'm not a fan of Matt Hardy playing this big money Matt gimmick. I know he needed to go away from the deletion era, and he still brings it out when he talks. But I mean, the Hardy Family Office, it's like him trying to cross Bobby the Brain Heenan with Ted DiBiase and coming up with nothing spectacular. And you would think a Bobby Heenan embracing a Ted DiBiase type union there in a gimmick would work, and it should, but not for a guy like Matt Hardy. He isn't that type of guy. I know he's supposed to be the leader of this big faction. He's basically surrounding himself with all these guys, but I've watched a lot of these guys, and it's I don't know. Now, was this match necessary? No. Was it needed? Yes. Now, there was a few factors that needed to be worked out for this match to happen. One, to continue this escalation between Orange Cassidy, Matt Hardy, as there is a hair versus hair match coming up on Rampage, I believe, where Orange Cassidy will face Jack Evans in a hair versus hair. But also to serve as this continued dissension within the ranks of the Dark Order. Now, chaos would break out back and forth. John Silver, man. I thought he had a big problem when Brody Lee was still around, the Exalted One in control. He could never stay serious when getting in trouble by Brody Lee. And I thought it was just he couldn't help himself. He thought it was funny. He'd laugh. And it served to give us good comedy moments. But as a wrestler, the guy can go. He knows how to pick up the energy, not only in what he does, but also in the fans that are watching in attendance, as well as those that are at home. Now, during the match, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, and Colt Cabana would walk away. There was a confrontation between Uno and Alex Reynolds. Started a little bit of shoving inside the ring. Uno just said, F this, I'm out of here, and made his way up the ramp and followed hot on the heels by Stu Grayson, who was a bit confused, as well as, Colt Cabana was like, God, would you guys just get your shit together? And now the feel-good moment would come when -1 and Mama Bear, his mama, would step out, and you see -1 pull the old Brody Lee bit and having this wadded up handful of papers and just whip it in the face of Uno and start giving him hell to get back in that ring, fix your shit. And then we seen Hubert as well, Amanda Hubert, or Huber, I'm saying Hubert, I do apologize. Amanda Huber also get in the face of both Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, and Colt Cabana. And that seemed to light the fire that the Dark Order and Orange Cassidy desperately needed. They got back in the mix of things. John Silver erupted, wiping out all the competition. And Silver would turn on Jora Joel. Just turned him inside out. Beautiful thing to see. Uno and Stu delivered Fatality, earning the victory for the team. And after the match, 10 hoisted Brody Jr. up on his shoulders, a celebration, a lot of hugging, and like I said, it was a celebration of and a tribute to the father of -1. And it was, like I stated, it served its purpose on two fronts. There is the rivalry going between Matt Hardy and his business faction and Orange Cassidy, and there's the dissension within the ranks of Dark Order, which seemed to have been rectified by the end of this match. So it was good to see. Now, there was a lot of talk about Bray Wyatt, or, excuse me, if you want to go by his real name, making his debut tonight. That was squashed. It's going to take place down the road. Or we might see him in a different company. We don't know. But it would be nice to see a strong personality take control of this faction. They don't need to be dark all the time. They can have their fun there. They can have their jokes. They can be the comedy relief at times. But I would like to see them get a little bit more serious. I would like to see them be a Dark Order. But perhaps we'll get there eventually. I want to see where it goes from here. It served its purpose. It gave a lot of energy in this card, and that feel-good moment that the fans were looking for, the Exalted One's presence felt as they were celebrating at the end of the match. Now, following this match, Ty J, that is Ty Conti and Anna Jay, taking on the Bunny and Penelope Ford, a union that I think fits Penelope Ford and the Bunny. Both very deceitful, very, you gotta watch the crazy bitches around here, don't you? Not only in the wasteland, but here in the real world. Ty Conti, I love her. She's still learning the ropes, you can see that, but she's getting better each and every time I've seen her in the ring. Anna Jay, really showing that she is the younger of the two when it comes to wrestling. Ty Conti having that jiu-jitsu background, I believe it is, really helps her in the ring. But you can still see that she needs a lot of work, and Anna Jay really showed that in this match as well. That showed she was young, she was green inside that ring. But before we get to that, we had Dan Lambert and the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, step out into the ring and cut their little promo. And I've got to say, Dan Lambert is spot on when he executes a promo. I didn't expect it from him. I thought he'd be pretty rough, but fuck, man, he was on point, and I loved hearing him. Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, letting everyone know they've been overlooked. They're tired of being overlooked. They should have been more already than what they are, but you keep on looking at certain faces, painted faces, and names, and you're building the company around them when these guys have been at the top of their game from day one. Now, their reign over the company after their victory over Chris Jericho and Jake Hagar has been good. We seen that last Friday on Rampage. I watched Rampage last week. I enjoyed it. And you got to go with them. They've been overlooked. They've been underutilized, as in their eyes. And they're building that heel team and the heel mentality that the fans don't want to see. They don't want them to gain or garner that next level where they can get titles around their waist. I think it's a nice way to make sure they stand out top, let the other tag teams know we're here, we're coming for you, and we will be champions eventually. Now, the rivalry between the Bunny and Penelope Ford and the team of Ty Conti, and Anna J. It was another chapter this Wednesday in the tag team action. The heels obviously controlled the match through most of the commercial break. We got the picture-in-picture for most of it. But during the later part of the match, flurry by the baby faces, including a springboard crossbody from Conte, led them to a victory over the strength. To a victory on the strength of Jay's Queenslayer sleeper to Penelope Ford. I thought it was good that Anna Jay got the victory. Maybe it helps build her confidence up, and we'll see her improve as we've seen Ty Conti improve each and every week. I like the team. I'm not sure if they're trying to phase Anna Jay out of Dark Order. She's still doing the Dark Order, hand clutch there. But it was nice to see. It wasn't the best of matches, but like I stated, we're seeing Ty Conti every week improve. We're seeing Anna Jay back in the ring improving. It helps build momentum for them. And Conti, if she continues to work hard to better herself, while Anna Jay shows flashes of that young superstar we see, it's a match that shows that perhaps we need to see a women's tag team title in the mix, or perhaps a mid-card title for these women. Have some fun. It's always fun watching Ty Conti in the ring. She's energetic. She loves wrestling. You heard her throughout the match yelling at her opponents, verbally attacking them as well as physically. It was a good match, but it wasn't the best match. But as I stated, it just showed that there perhaps needs to be a secondary title within the women's division, and tag titles would be probably a little bit out there yet, but maybe a mid-card title to help elevate these women and give them a little bit more confidence that they are on the right track might help. Following this match, though, Darby Allin confronting MJF as MJF made his way out to ringside with Wardlow, as always. And MJF has a way of getting the fans to hate him, and I love it. He knows what to say. He knows when to say it. He's a promo legend at his young age. He knows how to direct the fans where he wants them to go. Now, there's a lot of people that love MJF, but he still has a way to bring out the boos in them, They're not just going to sit there and scream for him and cheer for him. They want to kill him at times. And that is true heel mentality. Stuff we've seen back in the day, where you would see literal fans jumping the guardrail or attacking wrestlers while they're near the barricade. And MJF is a guy that knows how to pull that out of his hat. He had to make sure it was very clear that the fans knew he was the number one young star in the company and has deserved an AEW World Title opportunity for a long time. This is where Darby Allin stepped out, because Darby Allin was brought out in this promo when it came to who all these young faces that are the next generation, the next big thing in AEW. Darby Allin was mentioned because, and it was only just a passing call out, due to the fact that MJF has never actually defeated Darby Allin, but he went on and on and on, and this brought out Darby Allin. It was nice to see. Now, MJF delivered a scathing promo directed over at Allin, going so far to reveal the face-painted anti-hero is straight edge because of the traumatizing death of his uncle in a car accident early in Darby Allin's life. When the former TNT champion told MJF he would not be broken mentally, this is where I got confused. MJF simply said, Oh, I can't break you? Okay, fine, we're done. He walked out. Just walked out. I didn't get it. It was kind of like that bully moment, the bully picking on you in the playground, and you finally have the nerve to step up to them, and they're just like, oh shit, okay, I'm done. I'm just leaving before people see I'm weaker than they actually believe. And I maybe if that's what they were going for, it was fulfilled. I just found it odd. He's got big Wardlow next to him, and he's as good as he claims to be, but he just, well, okay, fine, I can't break you. I'm gone. I'm done. Great promo as always. Darby Allin didn't say much, but he never seems to need to say much to get the fans on his side. Letting MJF know that you ain't breaking me anytime soon. I've lived through worse. I've been treated worse. Was enough to have MJF skedaddle. Following this, I shouldn't move on so quickly. A feud between MJF and Darby Allin would be good. I love seeing those two in the ring. They're great wrestlers at such a young age. To see MJF being able to maybe start, a little verbal feud with Sting, I'd like to see what Sting could do. Sting has never been a great talker. He lets his actions, he lets his presence really control and dictate where a promo goes, and it's clearly always worked for him. But MJF and Sting, as well as Darby Allin, hey, can't ask for much more. But this brought us to the main event of the night. TNT Championship matchup. Sammy Guevara challenging Miro, due to the fact of Miro just dominating, brutalizing, and just beating the hell of Fuego del Sol. Fuego del Sol put his very car on the line in a match against Miro. Now I know it's all about storytelling and that. It seemed like a very dumb thing to do when facing a guy like Miro and you're giving up maybe, close to 150 pounds, if not more. Now, Miro has defended the championship many times already. He's, what'd they say, over 300 days, 360 some days, I think it was, as champion. About almost a year, maybe, that he's been champion, if not over. Miro as the TNT champion has been good. I've always gone back. I've watched footage of his matches where he's defending the title, who he's defended him against. Always good matches. Sammy Guevara, perhaps a little bit more of a wrestler than what he's faced recently, especially with someone like Fuego del Sol. But it was a good match. It was a great way to pay tribute to Brody Lee in this. The TNT Championship on the line, and what better way if you're throwing a tribute show to a great wrestler that passed way before his time. Why not put the title that he won and elevated as he had? We've seen God's favorite champion, the Redeemer, Miro, dominate most of the match. And when I say dominate, I mean like ragdoll Sammy Guevara, the Spanish God, throughout the match. Almost every time Sammy Guevara thought he found an opening, he got shut down. It was clearly a David versus Goliath type matchup. Size definitely counted. Miro, surprisingly, a lot quicker than he was ever showcased in WWE. And that's what I've liked about AEW. They're allowing their talent to express themselves in so many different ways now that they are in a company that's a little bit more free of all the, hey, don't push the boundaries too much. There's a glass ceiling. You ain't breaking through it no more. Guevara, always a fighter through and through, and a surprising, fantastic young talent that AEW acquired. We all know he's been Chris Jericho's favorite kid, in this new company, and we've seen a lot of action getting spilled outside. Sammy Guevara utilizing the ring post and the steel steps multiple times. We also seen Miro use the the ring post on Sammy Guevara. Now, we've seen many attempts for a finish on Miro's part. We've seen a shooting star press. I don't know what Sammy Guevara was looking for. It was almost like he was doing a shooting star press to catch Miro while he was standing and hit some sort of like flatliner or whatever he was attempting, but got caught. Bent over backwards. Miro just manhandled him back up and tossed him across the ring belly to belly style. What was odd, I found a bit, Miro deciding to go to the outside, walk around a bit. Later on, we seen him toss Guevara out and just kind of in his own head a little bit, you know, like, what the hell do I got to do to make this kid finally give up, get the win? And then the champion, Miro, and we've seen this at the pay-per-view, removing all the turnbuckle paddings, exposing them. And we all know what he did at the pay-per-view. He utilized that, got the win. But in this instance, Fuego del Sol interrupting him, distracting him a little bit. Now, Miro, however, knocked him out, but it opened up the door for Sammy Guevara to come in strong, turn the tide of the match, and sent Miro into the turnbuckle, stunning him before delivering the GTH. And then went up top, hit and delivered the 630 senton, won the title by pinfall clean. Surprising by, the inner circle. I think they're more faces than they were before. But I thought this was a great way to end the show. Sammy Guevara becoming the new TNT champion. Was it the greatest match you'll ever see? No. Was there enough in there to keep you interested, riveted, and see Sammy Guevara as an underdog that could be the guy to defeat Miro? Yes, it did. The kid kept on coming back each and every time he got knocked down. Now, sometimes it was a little bit slower for him to get up than it was at the beginning, but in the end, a slight distraction by Fuego del Sol, and not a big distraction, but enough to say, hey, I can't allow this to continue. We've seen you do this in the past. It's worked out for you, but it's not happening this time. I'm stopping you. And Miro, not realizing Sammy Guevara was up behind him, able to utilize that top turnbuckle, that exposed buckle, and then hit the GTH, and then that 630 splash, or senton. Perfect way to capture the 1, 2, 3. And it allows Miro to save grace because he can always re-challenge for that title. But should he? That's my question I'm going to pose to you. Should Miro challenge Sammy Guevara for a rematch? Now, some would say that it would be a way to redeem himself and become TNT champion for 2-time. But I see Miro as a guy that could do a lot more. He could be the AEW World Champion. He could be an exceptional World Champion. I love the new attitude by him. But this was, like I stated earlier on in the show, it was a feel-good night. That's what they wanted to showcase. And what better way than for the title to change hands in the main event as a tribute to Brody Lee. Well, that is the full recap of this show. I had a great night watching it. I sat here alone at my computer, watched it, and I enjoyed the show. I hope you guys enjoyed my point of view on the show. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and hopefully you guys tune in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, folks, if you enjoyed me returning to the reviews. Also, if you want me to continue and give you my point of views on what I thought of the show, what I thought didn't make sense. It is my opinion, folks. Your opinion, you have just as much value to it. And I accept that. So you state your opinions in the chat, what you think of the show. If I called it wrong in some way, I know I skipped over a lot of what happened in the show. I skipped over a lot of my notes. If I did as much as I wrote down, this show would be a lot longer. And I'm already trying to, this is my first time back, and I'm trying to cut it down a lot shorter. But I want you all to have a great day. Always have a better tomorrow. But for now, I am out of here.